Welcome to Verbalpic Radio on this Black History Month. And we're going to deal with topics mainly that's dealing with the psyche. We're dealing with spells that possibly could be put on us for a specific outcome for a specific people, right? And also, we're dealing with a sexual, I don't even know what to call it, right? But we will get into it right here on Verbalpic Radio, right? And we're gonna try to do this thing in order. So, ancestral scholar Deuce Muhammad Ali, right? Okay, now he and others knew the plight of African Americans in the Americas, especially coming out of that time period of slavery, right? So one of their main aim and focus was to bring us knowledge, to give us the knowledge that we lost during that slave period, right? And he would be called a traveler, right? Now, let's get it. I'm running through them. Just give you a brief history on it. When a Jamaican-born Marcus Mosiah Garvey Jr. arrived in Britain in 1912, he became closely associated with Ali, Deuce Ali. In fact, Ali would become a mentor to Garvey as a staff member of the African Times and Orient Review. Garvey never converted to Islam, but it is said that he learned a number of the basic tenets of Islam from Deuce Ali. He also learned a lot from Ali about Pan-Africanism, the struggle of African people around the world against European oppression. And that is what it's all about. All around the world. Not because all around the world, we as a people go through and suffer the same thing. And trust me, I've traveled. And what goes on here in America is happening in Belize. It's happening in Africa. It's happening in Brazil. It's happening in Central America, South America. And the thing is now, in this Black History Month, we got to figure out what is the block that keeping us from uniting, right? Because we finna get into it. Okay. Man. Now, this particular part of the show, right, with Kevin Gates, right? This particular part came from someone this is their belief. So I had to put this up to discuss this, right? Kevin Gates was on Club Shay Shay, which is Shannon Sharp's show, right? Kevin Gates is saying that he'd rather eat booty than pork, right? Kevin Gates. Now, they said that the youth is under so much sexual deviance that it's creating some type of violence, or it's messing with their mental psyche. I'm learning it's so much going on within that realm that this is or could be an underlying cause of everything that's going on, right? And now we diving into the show. On that note, Sister Roc Conscious, what do you think on Kevin Gates and not leaving personal sexual conduct in his private with his significant other?
Well, considering the show that he was on, anything goes as far as language and topics. And keep in mind that show is geared for adults.
Easily accessible.
And considering who the individual is, that's Kevin Gates.
Right.
No telling what will come out of his mouth. Okay. But people, it's that type of show.
They're saying that men and women into that now, right? But the youth are doing it. And they're saying that and this is the conversation, for a young male to have to be done that way or played with such in that manner takes away his masculinity. Or it makes him a beta male. I don't know the psychology on that, but what would you see Pan-African Moor?
All right, so the psychology on it is that whenever you do things like that is a form of submission. And, you know, I'm not saying it's anything right or wrong with submission. I think that, there's a time and a place for everything. But as far as it being related to a beta male, yeah, I've heard the same thing. Now submission, is of the feminine principle. And, there's been a conversation for years about, women being submissive and men being heads of the household.
You gotta step up.
I know, I am.
That shirt means something.
I'm trying, I promise.
Then what's the balance and what's the reason and what is biologically as far as our constitution is concerned, us being made a certain kind of way. Men are built to carry the heavy load. So, we were built to go out there and be hunter gatherers and be able to bring that energy back to the home for it to be cultivated by the feminine energy. Just naturally, that's just how we're built. So when it comes to other things dealing with being submissive or submissive acts, then, a man going into certain submissive acts, it has been said, and, I can even attest to this, is that, what was said is that when men do certain things, that the woman subconsciously, they start to treat that man a little bit different. Subconsciously, they may not even notice it, but they start to look at him a little bit differently subconsciously. And it don't got to be dramatic, but I know that I've noticed it myself when I ain't never ate the booty like groceries, like they like to say, in the music. But, I done did some things, with a woman, I done, put my, this, I'm about to do it. I done did what a lot of men that did. It ain't even taboo no more. A lot of men, they done did whatever. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It ain't, and so, I can understand and I can agree. I agree with you that it is, a man does put himself in a beta male position when he does these things. And I have noticed a difference myself whenever I've engaged in, certain acts with women, in the past. So, I wouldn't recommend it for brothers. I think that it's other things that we can be, top tier at and please a woman where we don't have to do those things in order to please a woman, in order to have balance in our household, from my perspective.
Get back to the mind, where we indulge in and cultivating each other's mind. Where you can be like that song Roc Conscious was playing the other day that she created. It was powerful. And matter of fact, we need to get back to music like that. But he is in Hollywood, right? So now, y'all check this out, right? Check this out. Okay, check this out. Now, this is what I'm thinking that is going through Hollywood. And this is the spell I'm thinking that's on them, that's causing all this, right? It says Sabbatianism, where the 17th century Jewish messianic movement centered around Shabbat 76, who was proclaimed the Messiah by Nathan of Gaza. Key beliefs include the belief that Zevi was an incarnate aspect of the Kabbalistic Godhead, the necessity of breaking traditional Jewish laws, autonomism to redeem divine sparks, and the validity of his conversion to Islam as a mystical redemptive act. Key beliefs and tenets of the Sabbatian movement include Messianic divinity. Followers believe Zevi was the promised Messiah, often viewing him as an incarnation of the Kabbalistic Godhead. His actions were seen as divine even after he converted to Islam in 1666. See that 666. Okay, his thing was, and we going through all of them. His thing was the empowerment of women Uniquely in Jewish history, Sabbatianism empowered women, allowing them to serve as prophetess, lead spiritual groups, and study Kabbalah, which was traditionally a male-only domain. Sexual liberation as theology, Sabbatai Zevi believed he came to free women from the curse of Eve, granting them equality with men. Prophetesses. Men and women featured as visionaries prophesying the Masonic advent of Zevi, and some were even considered holy virgins functioning as female embodiments of divine. This group of Turkish followers who converted to Islam outwardly practiced Islam while secretly holding Sabbatian beliefs, sometimes conducting sexual rituals like the festival of the Lamb, right? Now look, no, hold on. So check this out. These are egalitarianism rituals. The movement allowed and sometimes encouraged the dismantling of traditional gender roles, with women often practicing as prophets and spiritual leaders. Some sects practice unique secret rituals that blended Jewish mysticism with Sufi practices. Secrecy and dual identity. Many Sabbatans practice outward conformity to Islam and the Ottoman Empire or Orthodox Judaism in Europe while secretly maintaining their belief in Zevi messiahship. The movement was heavily influenced by the Kabbalistic, Messianic, and in some cases, early modern Christian millenarian ideals of the time. Anyway, so check this out. And y'all gotta help me with this one because we get so deep on this show, and there's not enough time to go through all of it, so we touch base on some of it. Now, I do know that when the Moors was kicked out of Spain, they kicked the Jews out with them, right? But what practices did they bring with them to the Americas when they were setting up the industry, entertainment industry, Hollywood, the music industry? Is it possible? And I don't know. This is just a question. Is it possible for them to send that energy through music and entertainment and media, those rituals, and use some of these artists to where it'll affect whole communities in a sense of, i.e., they clone Tyrone? And what y'all think on that? Anybody can just tap in on their beliefs on, could this be the reason of what's causing certain things to take place in the Black community? Because we're discussing Black History Month. In the Black community, could this be the reason that they're sending it to the community by way of entertainers or actors or artists?
I would say through symbolism, of course, the social medias, through the different networks, all of it. Low key, all of that is being done. And so the kids are getting exposed to that, and it sends them to another level. It makes them hyper in that area, makes them be more curious. And really their mind, their mentality, they're not mature enough. That's why I honestly believe, as I, grew in my maturity, I do not believe that even kids in high school should date. Because when something goes on or they break up or whatever, it's like they can't focus. It's a lot. Having a relationship is a lot. Any of all of that. It's a distraction. That's just what I believe.
I 100% agree, because we need as much focus as we can on building up ourselves. We don't need distraction. Exactly. What you think, Pan-African Moor?
Man. So I was like that when I was a teenager. hypersexual, bunch of girlfriends. I mean, we did it all. We did it all, so yeah, I could relate 100%. It's in the music, the music that I came up on, it was flagrant. I mean, it still is to this day. And it is based in the animal chakras. And even the bass, the music is it's been bass heavy for a long time. And the bass vibration is in the root chakra. It's in what they call the Muladhara chakra. And so, because our people minds typically vibrate in the animal chakras, the music, the keynotes, the actual notes and the bass and the 808s, they literally vibrate on that frequency. So when those frequencies hit us, it tap right in to them animal chakras. Same thing, whenever in Chicago, they call it going on a drill. On the West Coast, they call it a drive-by. Well, with the drill in Chicago, it's just a mission. It's just a mission to go put in work. A drive-by is a drive-by, right? It's still putting in work. And while they on that mission, a lot of times they playing that low vibratory music, to get them amped up. Not always, the case, but in a lot of cases, I know before I go in the morning, I'm real keen about what I listen to. I like to listen to, music. I know Big Crit got this song. It's I can't remember the name of it, but it's got his father speaking at the end of it, and and the hook is like, I know today is going to be a great day, and I like to listen to high vibratory music before, I enter into a place, because I like to set the tone. Shout out to Chess, URL. I like to set the tone, because the vibration that you own, it dictates everything around you. It dictates your principle of cause and effect. So what you run into, who you see, what they say to you, all of that is all based around your subconscious mind. The subconscious is the thinking apparatus of the soul, or it is the soil. It is the soil of the universe.
Right.
That's why the subconscious always comes up as the color black. SAR is the Lord of the perfect black, because they talking about the subconscious. Heru is your conscious efforts, as you traverse in life, but to the point though, is that the music has heavy subconscious programming through repetition, through the symbols that you see in the videos and online, and through the trauma that's being displayed in the videos, where you have colorism in it, you have big guns, big ARs, big AKs in the video, especially since the Chief Keef came into the game and showed the hood that you could just have a cheap video with a bunch of Negroes with their shirt off with a bunch of guns, and you could go platinum, you could become a millionaire. So once Chief Keef set the trend and drill music became huge in the music industry, it was over. The streets officially had taken over. And not to say that the trap music era that came before it, that they didn't have a heavy influence, but once it got to the drill, because the trap music it still had more balance to it, and it wasn't so murder heavy. It wasn't nowhere near as murder heavy as drill music. Trap music is about hustling. Drill music is about, it's about this right here. It's about that trigger finger, so, and so yeah, the music, Hollywood already was pushing that line, and it's just low vibratory animal music. And it has its place, but like Pimp C say, you got to have balance to that thing. You got to show the consequences for engaging in these acts.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Let me ask you this though. It said secret rituals that blended Jewish mysticism with Sufi practices. How powerful could that be, combining those two? Because they different.
I mean, man, that's powerful. And when you combine, can you hear me?
I'll give you.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah, that's powerful when you mix any of these spiritual systems. Once you get outside the box and you start tapping into different schools of thought, all there's power in all of that. It's just like mixed martial arts. The more styles that you learn, the more angles that you learn, the more efficient that you could be in that octagon. So yeah, now I think that you were saying that, because I'm looking at it, trying to look at it on the screen, that it was dealing with Shabbat or Sabbat,
Yeah,
which
sabbatinism.
That's about
so Sabbat. Anytime you see the word Sabbat, that's Sabbath, that is Shaitan, that's Satan, that's the devil, that's Lucifer, the light bearer, that's Soot, Set in the Bible. Set was I think that was like the third son. I think it was Cain, Abel, and then Set. Set is or Seth, Seth. Seth in the Bible is Set in Kemet in Egypt, same thing. So anytime that you're dealing with that, you're still talking about the root chakra. You're talking about Baphomet. You're talking about the goat. They call it the sabbatic goat. The Sabbath. There's if I'm not mistaken, maybe the Hebrew Israelites, their holy day is Saturday as opposed to Sunday, because Sunday would be the Roman deity Sol, S-O-L, I think that's the correct spelling, and that's a solar deity. So the Sabbath, when they say keep the Sabbath holy, they, people who, and like I said, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think the Hebrew Israelites, their holy day is Saturday because that's the Sabbath, Sabado in Espanol, Saturday, Saturn. The Roman deity Saturn is the origin of why we have a Saturday. It's Saturn Day. Saturn is just like you have the planet Saturn, it has the ring going around it that represents the pineal gland. The pineal gland is also another symbol for Baphomet, for the sabbatic goat. The pineal gland is also a symbol for Christ because they're opposite polarities. And opposite polarities are of the same essence, they just vary in degrees. Egypt had a deity that had Horus on the front and had Set on the back as one composite deity. They were combined into one deity because they were showing you duality. They were showing that, there's a time to tap into both energies. Sometimes you got to tap in to your animal nature for certain, you can get out there, cut the yard, or, you want to have control over it. Maybe when you have to engage in combat or in war. And then there's a time when you tap into your higher consciousness where you're working out math problems and solutions, where you got to keep that, where you have to keep a level head, which you got to keep a level head on both sides. But when you're working through creative things that don't require you to tap into that, your animal energy as much. So yeah, so anytime, y'all see that word, just know that that's what it's referring to.
Dealing with Shaitan, but Roc Conscious. How can we break this thing? Obviously it's effective to see the results of it, but how can we get out from up under it?
Well, considering that when it comes to sex and sexual acts, even it's coming from a natural state, because that's a part of everyone. It's something natural, and so it's definitely undeniable. But then it's almost like it gets propelled with all this other stuff. So I for me, I would think that people have to talk to their children more. Less of the kids need to be less exposed. But then, of course, like I said, because it's like once the children get around fourth grade, it's like, hey, they on 10 then. It's like all the girls liking the boys and the boys liking the girls and all that other stuff. So, it's really left up to parents and other people like us. They have tried to guide, the young folks. so they won't, start to do things like I had a discussion with Low Key about people being insatiable because of these different acts that they engage in. So that stuff can get really deep, even like with the what is it? What was the movie called about the gray shades of gray?
Oh,
Yeah, 50 Shades of Grey, I think.
Yeah, the 50 Shades of Grey, so, oh yeah, all that stuff is the manipulation and all of that, it can be really deep. And especially like you all say, if a man allows for himself to be in certain compromising positions or whatever, of course. So just imagine, it's like one of these things, it's a correlation. So there's the man, there's the woman, she's seeing, oh, I could do this. If I do this, I could do this and I can get this response. So you know what that's doing to the woman? Like giving her more power.
right. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is it's funny how we will create something, right? Whether it be a style of music, a style of dress, right? And they will always come and join themselves on to us. But it's almost like in the movie Sinners, right? Where they just couldn't let him in. You know what I mean? He stood at the door. You had to invite him in. They'll hang around us, and it's one of us who will invite them in. And once they get in, the whole dynamics change. The whole structure of how it was formulated from the beginning changes. And now it
Yeah, the
becomes something
energy,
that we don't even recognize.
right? The energy. It's just, yeah.
Now, this says antinomianism, breaking the laws. This is all a part of Sabbat. A radical central tenet was that the New Age required violating traditional Jewish laws to raise divine sparks trapped in the realm of evil, often summarized by the phrase, the violation of the law is its true fulfillment. It's in the Kabbalistic basis. The movement was deeply rooted in the mystical theories of Isaac Luria, reinterpreting them to argue that the exile of the divine presence, Shekinah, could be ended through the Messiah's action, including intentional descent into sin. Following Zeba's forced conversion to Islam, his followers, known as Donima or Ma'im, believed this act was not betrayal, but a necessary, hidden, and mystical journey to liberate further divine sparks from another faith. But they're saying the violation of the law is its true fulfillment, meaning you want to intentionally descend into sin. That is their mindset. We have a different mindset. So when we start taking on their mindset, they might know how to come up out of it. But we get trapped. That's why we got trap houses. You gonna get trapped. You in the trap. We get trapped in their world once they put us in this pit. When we follow them and we get into this pit, this energy pit that you can't see, but you get trapped in it and you don't know how to navigate your way out of it because it's not yours. You have to stay on your side and master unless you study it till you mastered it and you know how to get in and you know how to get out. But if you're an impressionable mind and they putting these rituals and and these spells through their vehicles of entertainment that they own, they can do it because they own it. And once you get caught up in it, it's hell. It's like generations get trapped. It's funny how we can't unite like Roc Conscious said earlier, we have all these distractions around us, right? Now the new thing is your boy. He talking about eating booty, and this is the new topic. What's her sexy red, pink and brown, and this is the new era now that we getting ready to go into. But we're saying, whoa, wait a minute, let's not let them hit us with a new direction. Because they already hit us with a new direction with the so-called, like gangster rap, drill music, drive-bys, the energy. They already took over that and went down that way. Now it's funny how we start coming up out of it. They hit it with something new. Bam. Okay, now we finna hit them with this kind of stuff. It's crazy. It's just funny how they do that.
Yes, what that means is that we need to constantly be mindful to be redirected or keep things coming so we can create our own stories and direction and things for us to engage in.
Right. But okay. Now let me ask y'all this.
Basically, that's it.
But now this for both of y'all. Can we do it just here in America as African Americans, or do we need our brothers and sisters around the world, which was the intent of Deuce Ali, because he wanted us to unite all around the world, not just right here. Can it be done?
No, it can't be done. Because if it could have been done, it would have already been done. Right. We had the conscious community here, and it went up and it came down. And I'm not saying that it's a done deal, because consciousness is forever. But at the same time, we seen Brother Polite get locked up. We saw what's going on with Dr. Umar. Brother Panic has transitioned. OG Bobby got out the game and threw the middle finger up and said, "I'm done with it," and that it's all about love, and and left the teaching circuit. We had Dr. Francis Cass Wilson, peace be upon her, transition. Siri Freeman L transition. We had a lot of our teachers transition, and our people consciousness actually is the current driving force between the division that's going on the internet. And we don't want it to spill over too much into, the so-called real world. And we're putting forth the effort to be able to bring our balance to the table. But no, we can't do it by ourselves, because it ain't no such thing as by ourselves. Principle of correspondence says that everything is connected on the appearance of separation. So we are really just one thing, when you talk about us as living souls. So anything that is going in the direction of division and us being separate from our people, there's a certain type of spirit that comes along with that, and a certain type of tribalism and gangbanging that comes along with that that's counterproductive. So we should come in the spirit of unity first, and then after that, we could talk about the unique nature of our different ethnicities as global African people. But we gotta always lead with unity first before we start getting into, our egos and what make us special as these individual groups, because there's thousands of different tribes. So we can talk about that all day, but we haven't conquered unity first before we get all caught up and all extreme with our small little individual groups.
I'm thinking, and I could be wrong, right? And I'm not a pastor, or preacher, minister, none of that, right? I'm not, but I'm thinking that all of this is a pre-Sodom and Gomorrah era that they trying to get us to go into. I do know 75% of the Bible is prophecy, 25% actually happened. And the move that these people are making, it seems like they steady guiding us. It's like we not guiding ourselves. It's like they create the trends. They create the style in the dress. They put the entertainers and actors in dress, men in dresses. You know, they the one who designed the female clothes and have them coming out half naked. You because we all remember one time we didn't do none of that. When you turn your TV, you rarely saw black women dressing a certain way, black men dressing a certain way. You rarely saw that. But over time, it's like they've been working and they getting the results they wanted. You know, go ahead, it's right.
People allowing themselves to be purchased for cheap.
So right. So I might be wrong. I might be giving them more power, and maybe it's us. Maybe we giving them more power by saying we are the victims of their rituals and spell that they're trying to put on the people. How are you right? How can they lead us? They can come up with the cause. Let's say, like, people would say, yeah, they came up with crack and put it in the black community, but we didn't have to pick it up, right? They can come up with the agenda. They can come up with we look here. Okay, we know y'all created rap music and it's about black consciousness because in the beginning, look at the message, Grandmaster Flash. It's dropping knowledge, but hey, why don't y'all put these guns and call your women bitches and hoes? They come with suggestions, but we could have said they come with suggestions and then they come with the money behind it. But we could have said, well, no, we don't want to do it that way. You know, you know what? You're right. On one end, you got the God consciousness, and on the other shoulder, you got the Sabbath of Shaitan. Hey, you know, man, I got a brilliant idea. Man, you know what? I want to do this to help the people, man. You know, we're gonna unite. We're gonna throw a block party, man, and it's gonna be about, you know, unity and loving the community. We finna build, right? And one of them might get wind of it and be like, yeah, it's been nice, but you know what? Man, I dropped this here, man. If just somebody come just shoot up the place, you know, it's gonna make the news. You're gonna blow, you know what I mean? And bam, there you go.
They send in the people, like that one guy who did in Minnesota when he burned the flag and then he took off.
Okay. Now, this is just from my perspective. So for a long time, me and the homies, we was going to Caribbean Juve. Juve is a Caribbean party that they have every year here in this city, but they have it in different places. And it's where people from all across the Caribbean come together. You know, we also would step out, you know, with our flags and go and join in. And every year that we went, it was peace. It was no fights. The first year and this is years ago when this happened, you know, you could Google this. The first year that 97.9 came out, because they would always just play Caribbean music, which was very peaceful. We would dance, have a good time. They brought 97.9 out one year. And the first year that they brought them out and they started playing that music, that low vibratory music, there was shootings, people got shot. And so then after that, you know, when it came to like the location of the Juve for the next year, they were trying to keep it on the hush because they was like, well, look, you know, whenever y'all show up and y'all change the music and y'all bring y'all energy, people getting shot. I don't know if anybody got killed, but people got shot. So the vibration of that music and there not being any balance in it, and a lot of it. And when you have, you know, something like a Juve where it's a celebration of people coming together, unified with no drama, once you bring that untamed, uncontrolled animal energy into it, that's when people get hurt. So I just wanted to acknowledge that on your show.
Nah, man, well said. It made me think that, are they tapping in and using our lower nature and for their benefit and purpose? And shit, so shows like this and scholars like Deuce Muhammad Ali, if you have a higher vibrational pitch of knowledge, then they can't use you as a tool. If you got a lower, if you operate on a lower vibration and out of your lower nature, they can use you as a tool. Could that be correct? Roc Conscious, what you think? I mean, if you don't study, you can be used. I'm thinking.
Well, we need to be mindful of, I always say, it's true about watch what you see, watch what you hear.
Right.
All of that. And even people, and this is the thing, you have some people, okay then, so I'm amongst, you know how some people can be okay, they can be cool, but then when they get in an environment where it's a lot of people, oh, guess what, I'm just gonna kind of like show out, show that not so positive side of me. And then if you have people that's instigating or making you think it's cool, and then it's situations like that that can cause a lot of things to go on because people are like trying to prove themselves. And so it makes for a lot of, bad behaviors. And it could be true that, sometimes, we do have that influencement, from outsiders, but also it's some things that we do. So
Right.
we need to hold ourselves accountable.
Yeah, exactly.
You can take in consideration the setup they had off of 59 and everything that went down over there. I'm more than sure that it was us.
Right.
A lot of us.
Right. Right. Exactly. And that's right. That's right.
Some bad characters, and it make everything everything go bad. But I remember back in the day, on the Sunday, it was my friends and I and a lot of us, we'd be at McGregor Park.
Right.
So we could get along and have a good time. If I tell you it was a lot of us in the cars, I mean, it would be packed.
Right.
Pack.
Right. Fact. Yeah, and got along. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. So, as we conclude, any standout Black history figures you all would like to put on record?
Yeah, as we go, I know Chris has some, but as we progress this month, I'll be sure to, have some information because there's so many people outside of everybody that we've been given and taught in school. Oh my God, it's so many others that have done great things.
Right. And you know what? For the next shows, we're going to be highlighting about 3 or 4 people a show. We're going to get them in before we're going to get them in. I mean, people that some may not have heard of, but done some wonderful work.
Yeah.
Oh,
like brothers like Steve Coakley.
There you go. That's right.
That told us about a lot of things already.
the boulets and the whole nine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who you got, Pan African Moor?
Oh man, so many come to mind. Dr. Sebi.
Come on, Alfredo X, Alfred X.
Man, shout out to Sister Sonya Blade from downtown. I think Black, you remember Sonya. You might remember Sonya, conscious sister, or sister that I watched go into knowledge of self. I got a chance to bear witness and take some part in just having those conversations. And she brought me a ticket or a flyer that Dr. Sebi was going to be at U of H. And I got a chance to see a brother in the flesh and see that he was the truth in the flesh. We may have documented on Verbalpic Radio, but I'll never forget that. All the people that bear witness and had testimony to him healing them, me, myself personally, what he did for me studying his works in detail, in-depth studying his works, getting his products, totally changed my health. Totally. 180. Went from when the season changed. I remember I was diagnosed with bronchitis when I was a kid. The seasons changed, I get sick. And then, when I got hip to his work and read some books that was related to him, other people that was inspired by him, I mean, it totally changed my health. It's so difficult for me to get sick now, to even have any kind of close to any kind of symptom of having any kind of real mucus build up in my body. I mean, you could see it when you see me. If you know me, it's written all over my face. I mean, that's Dr. Sebi. That's what you're seeing. That's he has a hand in that. And OG Bobby got a hand in that, and laying down the metaphysical side to health and the mind, and Brother Panic putting the book Cyclomancy out there about how your mind affects your body, and how your mind sends electric signals to different parts of your body, and certain things you're not supposed to say because of the vibration and how that affects your body. So yeah, Dr. Sebi, peace be upon him. Brother Panic, peace be upon him. I mean, man, giants in this consciousness. So yeah.
I want to give a shout out to Kelso Elementary. Kelso makes legends, man. Shout out to B, Mo, Red, Scratch, the sisters, because when we was there, the teachers was dropping knowledge on us young. We had revolutionary, you know what I mean? Shout out to Mr. Walker. Yeah. Then too, a topic I want to get to one day, but I don't have enough knowledge on it. But the father of W.D. Farad Muhammad, the father, the black man, the God who went and to do a specific work for us in America, just that mindset, we got to get into that and that purpose, the whole purpose behind it. Because and I don't want to go too long on it though. I mean, but just put this in context. Wow, man, we over here in America with laws against us from learning. We can't read, we can't write, we can't have the ability to know. And they wasn't gonna teach us right because they wasn't treating us right. So when people talk about Pan-Africanism or people from other nations, how else was the knowledge gonna come into America for us? And shout out to Detroit, because that was the first black community, Black Bottom. Majority of the scholars came to Detroit first. Deuce Ali was in Detroit. Nobody Drew Ali was in Detroit. Elijah Muhammad, Detroit. W.D. Farad was in Detroit, and spread it out. But somebody had to come and give us knowledge. Garvey came out of Jamaica. You know what I mean? They wasn't finna, and the knowledge, they even had it to where we couldn't even have any griots to where we would pass down that information. We had to do it in song, and we had to try to do it in dance, but over the time we just got bits and pieces, but we couldn't get the whole story. They couldn't obtain it for that long. And then if they did catch doing your spiritual dance or passing knowledge, they kill you. Because they did not, their whole intention, they never thought we would wake up, and they thought that they had enough knowledge, I guess, within themselves to where they can see who's coming to teach us and block them to keep us in a certain mindset. But them days gone.
Well, otherwise, if we were never disturbed, we would have been fine. Because we had our own knowledge, our own teaching, things that helped us. Right. That allowed us to survive, allowed us to be healthy, a lot of things. Yeah. So on our own, yes, great. But all the extra stuff, now, yeah. Now, by us, as far as I believe with the knowledge, what they had, well, it's like, let's just say if we're not aware of all that stuff that they brought, right? So we needed to know about other stuff to counteract all the bad things that were being brought to us or used against us.
Facts. Yeah. How would we know? We thought this was how it was supposed to be, because how we knew. You know, you see a white man walking, you had to get on the other side of the street. Some people thought that was natural. Like, I'm a man, you a man. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? You know, what's going on, right? But so I think those. And on this show, you know, we doing something different than the ones that they give us, you know, other than Rosa Parks and Dr. King and Deb, which was great people, but we want to highlight those who that they don't give us the highlight. You know, we want to get into the John Horses and, you know, the Desalems and, you know, all the way down to Mexico and Vicente Guerrero and Ganga Zuma in Brazil and Gaspar Yanga in Mexico. We want to get into all those brothers that paved the way and that helped to influence where we at today. You know. So on that note, anybody want to add anything before we get out of here? Look, Verbalpic Radio. We out, family.
Yeah.